Animation at its broadest can be defined as bringing something to life, something inanimate to life. Some have traced animation back to Greek amphorae that have scenes painted on the outside of them in a circle, and that if you spin the amphora, it creates motion. Some have traced it back to early parlor tricks and devices such as the zoopraxiscope, the phenakistoscope, and of course the zoetrope. I'd like to talk today about one particular film and use it to illustrate principles of animation because it's designed to illustrate principles of animation. So this cartoon is set in an imaginary cartoon factory in which the cartoon animals are busy at work creating a cartoon to be shown for an audience of cartoons. The factory itself is set up to mimic the activity of what would be called Mickey Mousing, that is, working on the beat of the cartoon, so that the characters draw with a live orchestra providing them the beat to do their drawing to, and the cartoon characters that they draw then are embodied with that beat. There you have the act of animation, so that the animated characters are being animated by the music and then animating other characters through that beat. But the interesting thing about this cartoon is that there's a kind of degradation at play. So the cartoon characters that we witness working in the factory are all roughly three-dimensional. They have body weight, they have form, but the things that they're creating are all stick figures. So there's a sense in which we're reminded that as an audience, we are more animate than the animated characters are, who are creating animated characters who are less animate. So there's a way in which animation reassures us of our own humanity, our own sense of realness. The fact that as the cartoon animators create their creations then speak back to them and act back to them. There's a force of animation that travels from layer to layer to layer to layer in the cartoon, a force of life that is provided by the animator to the cartoon characters, who are then obedient to it, and eventually, actually often in early American animation in particular, disobedient and punished for their disobedience. And at the end of the cartoon, this is exactly what happens. There is a scene in which the cartoon is presented in a barn to a bunch of animals who watch it on a screen, and the film references a very early cinematic moment called Uncle Josh at the Picture Show, where someone in the audience confuses what's happening on the screen with real life. They see the characters as being real, not simply animated, but actually animated with life, and they rush the screen, tearing it down, creating a mayhem and melee, which then erupts within the barn space, and in which the characters from each layer become confused with each other. So that animation also has a tradition constantly of self-referentiality, of calling into question even as it reaffirms being alive, and calling into question who has the right to be alive.